Thinking you're going to be around 105 degrees or even higher in some spots, and that would get us to heat advisory criteria. So I wouldn't be surprised if over the weekend, as we get closer to Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, that the National Weather Service may issue a heat advisory for our area. So we're telling you this really far in advance and issuing this alert because we want you to be prepared for this, and we also want you to plan for it. So definitely start hydrating. Now, even though the weekend is not included in the alert, it is still going to be hot out there, as we're going to see temperatures this weekend in the mid-90s and heat index levels near 100, which is what we've been dealing with a lot lately. So just keep hydrating. But going into next week, when you're making plans for your family, plan in some breaks if you're going to be outside, some cooling breaks, or plan some things to do that would involve cooler air or pools or lakes or anything so that you can stay cool out there going into next week. So it's going to be a few days in a row with temperatures that are going to be near that 100-degree mark. In fact, take a look at this. Now, this is an example of what I'm talking about for the weekend. On Sunday, we're still going to be hot at 96, and the heat index is going to make it feel like it's 101. But these are the days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, when we see those temperatures at 99 degrees. But look at the heat index values. 104 for the heat index on Monday, Tuesday 105, and then 104 again for the heat index on Wednesday. So that's really hot weather. Again, your body has to work extra hard to cool itself down. It will produce sweat. And when that sweat evaporates, that's what cools your body and your skin down. But when the humidity level is high, it is harder for that sweat to evaporate, so your body works even harder and harder to produce more sweat to try to cool yourself down. So just be aware of this, take breaks, hydrate. You need to put more water into your body as it is going to be losing some of that water too. Now here's a look at our heat impacts map, and this is for Friday, where you can see here on Friday, we have a lot of orange around us, but we begin to see some red, and the red means major heat impacts. Now, we're expecting highs tomorrow that are going to be around 92 degrees, and the heat index levels bringing it up into the mid and upper 90s. And then let's go into Saturday. Notice how the red color spreads in to our area, and that red means major heat impacts here for much of Metro Atlanta. Then going into Sunday, not only are we all still red, but I want you to notice the purple color starts coming into East Georgia and back into South Carolina and into North Carolina as well. And the purple color means extreme heat impacts, where you really need to be aware of it and take precautions from all that heat that we're going to be experiencing. Then look what happens on Monday. The purple color extends into much of the Metro Atlanta area, covering much of East Georgia, down toward Macon, over toward Athens, into Augusta, into the Carolinas as well. And that means that we would have those extreme heat impacts here. So that's why we're warning you in advance. Heat is a serious thing. A lot of people have been saying, okay, Chris, it's summertime. Yeah, it gets hot in the summer. But this is going to be some really high heat here that we don't have that often. And matter of fact, 100 degrees is not necessarily rare here. It happens occasionally, but it doesn't happen a lot. These are the most recent 100-degree days here for Metro Atlanta. The closest one was last year on June 25th, where it hit 100 degrees. Before that, you have to go back to August 13th of 2019 when it hit 100 degrees. And then before that, it was in 2016. Before that, 2012 on July 5th when it hit 100 degrees. So yes, it can happen here, but it doesn't happen a lot. So this is something we want you to be prepared for, just in case we bump up one more degree from 99 up to 100 going into next week. Now, we do see some relief, though, on the way. It's not going to be there forever. This is the 8 to 14-day outlook, which takes us into the first week of August. And it does show some slightly cooler air coming down. And these bluer colors here over North Georgia, indicating likely cooler than average. It doesn't mean a really cold blast or anything, but it just does show us of some slightly cooler air that can start moving in once we get into the first week of August. So there's a little bit of relief and a little bit of hope for us as we are getting into this really hot air and hoping for a break in that coming into the end of next week and into next weekend. Now, let's talk about what's happening right now, where we have been tracking some scattered showers that have been moving through our area. We're not seeing as many of them right now. This green that you see around the radar site, those are false echoes, so that is not rain down south of the city over in Fayette County and Coweta County, so don't worry about that. But what we have been watching, a few of those showers that moved through a little bit earlier, they were coming in from the southeast, moving up toward the north and west. Again, that flow off of the Atlantic, where we saw that behind that backdoor front, that flow changing, coming in from the east. Now it's more southeast to northwest, and that just kind of spread a few spotty showers through the area. Nothing particularly strong. We had a couple of areas with some thunder and lightning a little bit earlier, but now most everything is falling apart. We still have that cell up around Rome right now. It was looking a little more impressive coming out of northern Cobb County through Bartow County, and now that it's into Floyd County, it's pretty much weakening somewhat out there too. Excuse me, we had a couple of showers there in Douglas County earlier along I-20. We had a couple moving in on the southeast side of the perimeter a little bit earlier. We had some over along 85 earlier. Those move up toward the north and east, and they also fell apart. So that's really the trend for the rest of the evening hours, as anything that is out there is going to be ending and will be relatively quiet during those overnight hours. Now, something else that we're watching is the system that we've been telling you about over the past couple of days that the National Hurricane Center is watching as well. But this is not really that impressive, and it doesn't really show a lot of likelihood of actually becoming a named tropical system. But again, it's something to watch over the next few days. It is now centered, and you can almost see this flow here, and a little bit of a trying to become a counterclockwise flow. It's not really a full-fledged closed low area there in the Gulf as of right now. But from that flow there, you can see some of that influence there with this more of a southeasterly flow coming our way, and that's what's picking up some of that Atlantic moisture, trying to spread it in. We have a few of those showers there north of Tampa. And then again, just watching areas from Louisiana into parts of Mississippi, southern Alabama, and the Panhandle. Even if this doesn't become a named system or even a tropical depression, it is a low that's trying to form there in the Gulf, and it's going to be causing some rain there along the Gulf Coast. But again, not a rain out or anything. I think we'll have the heavier rain into New Orleans, into Louisiana, and into parts of Mississippi, moving on up to the north, and then this system could potentially move inland near Texas over the next couple of days. So here is what we're going to be watching out there with our live cameras. This is our view at Truist Park. Isn't that beautiful? Of course, there's no game tonight. The sun went down. The sun's going down a little bit earlier now. It's in the 8:41, 8:42 time range now. But you can see a couple of those clouds along to the west that are kind of billowing up. This is our view from Midtown at Georgia Tech. We saw a nice rainbow just a little bit earlier. I posted that on social media on Facebook, where we could see a faint rainbow that was coming right down over here, and it looked really nice there just for a brief period. And then, of course, you know, this is my favorite camera, our tower cam on Arizona Avenue in DeKalb County, looking westward toward the city. A really high camera. Gosh, my engineers told me how high that was. I can't remember now how high that is, but that just gives us a great view, and we can see a lot more of that light there on the horizon. This is that system that we're talking about in the Gulf. It is centered now south of New Orleans and south here of Louisiana. Expected just to kind of meander through the Gulf over the next couple of days, maybe going toward Texas, maybe coming inland here in parts of Louisiana, but most of that convection is going to be centered down in the northern coastal region, where again they're going to have some rain there. And it shouldn't be bad. If you're going to the Panhandle late week or into the weekend, that system's going to be well to the west, and things should be improving there for the Panhandle. Most of that is going to be over toward Louisiana. So check this out. Today's high, 90 degrees. Yes, that's hot, but that's right where we should be for this time of year. The average high for this time of year is 90. Remember, yesterday was 89. We were 1 degree below the average yesterday. Today we're at average. But then that's going to change. We're going to see these temperatures moving up over the next few days. Lower 90s tomorrow, around 92. mid-90s for the weekend, and then those temperatures in the upper 90s Monday, Tuesday, as well as on your Wednesday. So here's a look where you see that mild air this morning starting off at 75, and then look at all these 89s here, 2, 3, and 4 o'clock. In between those hourlies, that's when we bumped up to 90 for that high temperature. We had a lone shower that went through Hartsfield, and it dumped a very light amount of rain there, but it was enough rain that it cooled Hartsfield down to 81 briefly at 5 o'clock. Then it went right back up to 86 and 87. Now we're settling in at 83, and we'll see these temperatures overnight. That'll drop down into the mid-70s again by tomorrow morning. There's that 83 here in town. Look at Lawrenceville and Athens at 78. They had a few showers there in Lawrenceville and Athens earlier. Gainesville 79, Canton 79, Carrollton 77. Elsewhere we have a lot of those 80s still around. Now tomorrow, we're expecting to get up to 92 degrees with a mixture of sunshine and clouds. Rain chance tomorrow is going to be on the low end at only 20%. I really think most of us will stay dry. So here's the forecast track. During the rest of the evening hours tonight, you can see that any of those lingering showers are going to fall apart. By tomorrow morning, it is going to be a dry and mild start. We're talking about temperatures that'll be in the mid-70s to start here on Friday morning. Around lunchtime, we're still dry. In the afternoon, mainly dry. You see a couple little spots here showing up with maybe a lone shower here and there, but again, that rain chance is only going to be at about 20%. Then going into Saturday, we're expecting to be rain-free for the weekend on Saturday as well as on Sunday. You see here in the afternoon hours, not really seeing much developing. I really think it would be less than a 20% chance for a shower here. There may be a few more showers trying to develop back into Alabama, but I'm really thinking we're going to be dry here as well as into Sunday, a less than 20% chance for a shower that'll be pushing into our area. But remember, even though we're going to see dry air this weekend, it's really going to start warming up more. We're talking about mid-90s here for the weekend and then going into the upper 90s for next week. Here's the moisture map. What I want you to notice here, the blues and light greens coming in, that's some drier air. Where you see the oranges and yellows down to the south, that's where there's a lot more moisture. So it looks like the blues and greens are kind of winning out a little bit, some yellows there, which is why we have just that low rain chance at 20% tomorrow. Saturday and Sunday still mainly dry. That richer moisture with all the oranges is more out to the west, and that's where you were seeing those showers that could develop there to the west of us. Monday, still just a 20% chance for a shower. Getting into Tuesday and Wednesday, a little bit more of that orange coming in here in spots, especially Atlanta southward. That's where we're going back up to a 30% chance for a shower here for Wednesday. Maybe that drier air up to the north on your Wednesday afternoon. And then on Thursday, a little better chance for some of those scattered showers that'll move in too. So that 20% chance for a shower Friday, no rain chances Saturday and Sunday, back to a 20% chance on your Monday and Tuesday. And then look at this. This is the hill we don't want to climb. These temperatures are going up and up and up each day. 92 Friday, 95 Saturday, 96 Sunday, and there we go, Monday and Tuesday, and then again on Wednesday, 99 degrees for a high temperature. That's why we have the weather impact alert in effect for Monday, Tuesday, and on Wednesday. Now, the other thing I want you to see, we often talk about these afternoon temperatures being so hot. Look at the morning lows. When you start off in the morning with temperatures at 77 on Sunday, 78 Monday, Tuesday morning, our lowest temperature in the morning is going to be 1 degree below 80. When you see that, you know it is going to be a very hot day. So in the nighttime hours, we really don't have a lot of opportunity to recover out there from the high heat when we only go down to 79 degrees for a low. So here's a look at this, 20% chance for a shower Friday, dry for the weekend, but warming into the mid-90s. And then there you see the weather impact alert, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, upper 90s, and the heat index values that are going to be around 105. We do see a 20% chance for a shower Monday and Tuesday, 30% chance Wednesday and Thursday. We do come back down a little bit to 97 degrees for a high. Thanks for joining us here for this 11 Alive Weather Impact extended discussion on our 11 Alive Weather Impact Alert. We'll have more for you tonight at 11 o'clock and, of course, throughout the day Friday and the weekend, too.